Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on July 9, 2023 at approximately 4:31 p.m. PST. Now I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally live by. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the exact same tools that I personally guide my life by. Therefore, this is not a question of here's a whole pile of different ideas that may work. These are methods that literally have helped me throughout my life and guided thousands of people on their journey to a better life. Now, I can offer you all the tools in the world, and so can anybody else. But the fact of the matter is, if you don't actually pick up the tools, they are absolutely useless to you. Now, you'd think one day I'd get things organized, but not entirely. However, with that in mind, today, as you're well aware, if you've been following me at all, this is an open topic, an open day, meaning whatever questions you have, absolutely come right out and ask them, even if we're not talking about the same topic. Okay, and whatever you do when you go to put your question out, put it in all caps, or at least a chunk of caps, or that neat little wavy hand, something to let me know that you've got a question. I will do my best to catch up with it, but the reality is I don't track them as well as I'd like. Okay, it just works out that way. So with that in mind, if you don't get an answer to your question today, absolutely check below the video. You'll find a whole list of ways of getting a hold of me, to ask your question directly, and I will still go back through it and still come back with an answer for you. Now, I will tell you, there are some questions you may come out and go, this is what I'd like to know. And I'll tell you flat out, I'm not answering it. This doesn't necessarily mean I don't know the answer, but it does mean you're not going to get it. Okay. An obvious example, somebody asked me a question a very long time ago, right? And I told them I'm not giving you an answer until such time as I get viable go-ahead from the individual and from the source in question. Now, the net result of that is the person dropped off the stream, and so be it. I am aiming for 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and we are back on an upswing again. But this being said, the 1,000 subscribers is not the issue. The real issue is we have to turn this world around. Well, we don't have to. We can leave it on the path it's on. And if we do that, we're in real serious trouble because it's gone down this road before. Now, with that in mind, okay, let's get into things here and just swing back up. We have right about at the top here, let's go live chat, and we've got football in the door, through the door with the gold. Eternity Eternal has come in with the silver. Amitonga, you have arrived with bronze. And let's see, we have Nathan from the Quantum Show is back in with honorable mention. Thank you guys so much. And rest assured, this is just the first people through the door. Something you got to keep in mind here is every single one of you is extremely valuable in my eyes. Okay, the fact you're the first one through the door does not make you a chosen person. Okay, now yes, I have a couple of people listed in here that are moderators. I have asked to help keep an eye on things. Now, the reality of it is that we have one person. I've only had one person in 2 years that I had to do this with. Okay. The only people that are permitted to post links are myself and the moderators. And I will tell you, fortunately, the moderators I've got in here, the ones marked in blue, fortunately, these guys have all, guys and girls, have all turned around, and they'll ask if there's a link to post. They are the ones that turn around and they'll ask me anyway, which I am really grateful for. The nice little part about it is this isn't a democracy. That does not mean that I don't value your guys' input. Okay. Now, other people have come through the door here. Philip, how you doing? And we have Joe Stewart. Glad to see you made it today. And what do we got here? I will go back up and grab the questions as quick as I can. Okay. And okay, let's go all the way to the top here. This is neat. We have, where are we? We are 6 minutes into the run. So we go through the top questions, or the first questions, more to the point. Yeah, Phil goes, I'm wearing an ice pack over my heart. Right about now, let me just see there, Philip. I'm just actually literally checking to see what our temperature looks like. We are currently at 31, 32 Celsius, which means we're over 100 degrees, or just about at 100 degrees. Okay, so I'm quite comfortable with it. I do have my fan running behind me here, as you can hear, but way too warm for a lot of people. Myself, I'm quite content. Yeah, Nathan is currently listening in from work. He's slow, so he's able to listen a little bit more readily. We had a riot on his show, I think last night. It was just a hoot. So I mean, like I said, and bearing that in mind, where is that neat little piece of information? Pop that up, we go here. This is the link to Nathan's show. And I mean, I was on last night, and I'll tell you, it was a riot. Where are we here? Me paste. That's that. This is the link to Nathan's show. Definitely well worth a listen. Okay. And again, if you give him a listen, if you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of it. Okay. Where are we here? Joe is finally starting to relax. Okay, yeah, definitely put your feet up. If you've had a day like I've had, absolutely put your feet up and relax. Very important. Okay. Football's going, what important do we need to know about Denver Airport? Well, that's an interesting little situation. I don't know about you, but I haven't been watching the news for a lot of reasons. So if you're asking if there is some sort of a major news thing going on, I haven't been paying attention. I will tell you, Denver, from what I gather, is one hectic little airport. And I will tell you, it doesn't matter what airport you go to, they don't have a real sense of humor when it comes to safety issues. So with that in mind, now I'm not entirely certain what information you're looking for. Where are we? Football. Yeah, we are not. That is one thing I don't bother with. Okay, you got to remember, like, football is just going. No government's overthrown, which is a good thing. If you think about it, overthrowing a government does not actually solve the problem. Okay, we've got to take a look at what's going on in the world and really decide what are we going to pay attention to. What are we going to let continue to happen? Now, yes, governments have more of an impact than an individual housewife. But this does not mean, as an individual homemaker, that you cannot have a functional impact. Okay, this is one of those things that we got to realize. Everybody is stuck doing the exact same thing. We're all on the same planet. There is, in my opinion, there is no first world, second world, third world country. You got one world. That's it. Okay. That's the big thing that we have to look at here. And Phil's going, did you see the short new interview with the father and daughter? who designed and painted the eye-catching mural at Denver International Airport. In all honesty, I really did not. Oh, rest assured. Yeah, Philip, rest assured. I mean, I appreciate you going caps, not shouting. No, the caps just simply helps me find the question. Because there's a lot of really nice, really neat little issues. I'm wondering if I can do something here. There's a lot of neat little cross chatter that goes on that I'm not about to shut down. Okay, I'm really not. Because it's you guys helping each other. This much has become very blatantly obvious. Now, let us see. If I take that, move it up here. Let us just see if somebody did something nice. What I'm doing is just typing in Denver Airport mural and see if somebody actually, if that works to bring it up. Okay, I've just called it up here to take a look at it. Okay, well, that's an interesting mural. It's a lousy angle for it, I'll tell you. But I'm wondering if they actually did anything with it. Now, I am really curious how you get a picture like this. It's very, like, I'm looking at it right now. Okay. What do we got here? We have Frost Kitten. Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it right now, and I agree. It's a very weird thing to commission or to permit to go up in the airport. Because I do agree, the feeling of it at best is confused. I'm not entirely certain why they turned around and called it a feat for a conspiracy theorist. I'm looking at this, shows a whole bunch of different people and stuff. I'm not entirely certain of what they're doing. Let's see. Open image in a new tab and let's see if that gives it any clearer. Just calling it up so I can get a better. There we are. I will grant it this. It's a weird setup. Now, why they would put that up, this does not, in my opinion, and I am no art critic. Okay. Pardon me, but I don't even see a blue horse in it. But that being said, this kind of image, and I've got the image up here on my screen, on my one monitor. Okay. But I absolutely agree with you guys. It is absolutely twisted. The images make people look, it brings about a feeling, from my standpoint, of fear, depression, anxiety. Just the thing you want to put in an airport. Not, Now, the question here, football's asking, is it satanic? That image has nothing to do with the satanic rituals I've ever heard of. Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking through this. Frost Kitten is going, guy who sculpted the horse died when it fell on him. I'm not sure where the horse is, to be honest with you. But I will tell you, that mural. Oh, I see why you guys are looking at it and going, is that satanic? No, but it certainly is designed to make things look frightening. The black woman in the bottom, I have no idea what nationality she was supposed to be. But with the bugged out white eyes, definitely not what I would call this is not an uplifting picture. And, oh, that's why. Okay. What do we got here? Yeah, the blue horse is apparently a statue outside the airport. Okay, and I do feel for the guy that died. But is this satanic in nature? No. Okay. Is it creepy as all get out? Yeah, this does not bring about a sense of relaxation. If you wanted the stress in your airport to go up, this will work like a charm. Okay, but will I turn around and go, it's got some nefarious counterpoint to it? No. But I look at this and it reminds me of Picasso. Twisted as all get out. And, there's a lot of people that look at Picasso and go, you know, I look at Picasso and people say Picasso's a fabulous painter. I'm thinking the man was high. Okay. Like I said, I'm no art critic. Okay, but I'm looking at this going, I've got people that are sleepy. Some of them look like they're high. Why paint a picture of a dead leopard and put that front and center? And I'm not quite certain if this woman at the bottom is supposed to be in a coffin. But I will tell you, these people, none of this makes me feel relaxed. As far as it being the New World Order, here's an idea. Okay, where it comes to the New World Order, I have no doubt what people are saying about, they're trying to control everything, they're trying to guide you down the garden path, etc. I have no doubt about that. But something we do have to realize, okay, when we're looking at the New World Order, or at a New World Order, understand it is absolutely imperative that people start looking at this world as one world, not one, a first world country because you got better toys than the next people. I'll tell you, as far as some of the societies I've dealt with, this world is backwards, absolutely backwards. Okay, world, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I take a look at the whole concept of New World Order. And here's the New World Order I would like to see evolve. Okay, let's start a pandemic. And I mean a pandemic by getting everybody around you to smile. And rest assured, that picture ain't going to do it. Okay, it really isn't. Nothing I see about that actually makes me look at it and go, oh, but actually that's not true. There's a couple of points in there that I actually like the way they did them. If I look at that, we have I wonder if that blows up anymore. No. But they did a nice job on the coloring on the squirrel. It's too bad that the person that the little boy hanging onto the squirrel looks like he's either really, really exhausted or completely depressed. I'm not sure which. Okay. But they did a nice job on the painting of the squirrel. Half these people look absolutely bizarre. Now, why you would put a stuffy with a real angry face on it, I don't know. I mean, even when we used to watch Sesame Street, okay, Sesame Street, Oscar the Grouch. Yeah, he was always grumpy, but he always had an interesting way of looking at it. Now what do we got? Well, as far as I understand it, Joe, and I'm no witch, okay, I mean, I could ask a few people, but the witching hour, from my understanding, is midnight. Okay, I can't even give you a definitive answer as to why that's called the witching hour. Okay, unless you count the fact that when we used to burn witches at the stake, it was usually done around midnight because it was you got so much more lighting from the fire. What do we got here? World goes, Colorado is where the secondary government is set up in case when something happens to DC. Well, that makes sense. Every society I know, and I'm talking every species that has a government, has a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary government. Okay, all seated in different locations to ensure if one gets wiped out, the other ones, you've still got two backups to make certain that the government can stay in place. Now, this is a great idea if the government's working well. Right now, there's all kinds of questions about what's being done. And I will tell you, I've got my own questions. But the fact of the matter is, in the case of a democratic society, the government you've got in place are the ones you guys voted in. Okay, you desire to change the way the government's going. Two things have to be looked at. One, get involved in the government directly and do what you can. It's not as easy to change the flow of water or the flow of energy as you might think, but it is necessary. And what do we got here? We have Living Reality. Welcome aboard. I'm quite happy to see you guys got here. And again, guys, if you like the stream, do give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. It's time to get excited about changing your life and turning it into something you're really content with. Not based on whether or not somebody likes it. Okay. Oh. Philip's put a link in the chat room for the interview with the father and daughter artists who designed and painted the mural in Denver. Okay. I do appreciate that. I'll see what I can do about taking a look at it later. I'm not going to run it right now while I'm on the air. Okay. But here's the thing. I'm not one to tell somebody whether an art piece is good. I can tell you whether I like it. And this is certainly something I wouldn't even take a photograph of. Okay, the only reason I've got it on my monitor right now is so I know what you guys are talking about. Well, when you think about it, names are weird all over the place. I've known people that have deliberately, legally changed their name. There was one person that I ran into years ago, legally changed their name from whatever it was to female. Okay, now that to me is a very odd name, mind you. To somebody in Norway, Keith could be a real weird name. I don't know. Okay, so I mean, from my standpoint, what I consider weird, what I consider decent, I don't know. I've been called so many things over the past years that most of them are I've been called a lot of things, some of which are repeatable in polite company. But whatever somebody's name is, whatever the name of a piece of artwork is, yeah, it may be a weird name, but you gotta give them credit for one thing. If nothing else, this father-daughter and daughter couple, pair, put an art piece together and got it paid for, and Lord knows what they made off it, but they got it posted in an airport. You gotta give them credit for marketing ability. Yeah, Nathan goes, I had my name pronounced in Germany by a local. He made it sound Klingon. And to think, Nathan, your name doesn't even have a K in it. The neat little part about it, like I'm looking at what's going on in the world right now, and I came to the conclusion, I cannot comfortably sit back and just wait for things to happen. Okay, it just doesn't work anymore. Okay, because the reality is, if I turn around and sit back, what I'm essentially doing and continuing to do, bear in mind I've done this for a very long time, sat back and watched. But if I sit back and do nothing, okay, the reality of it is, essentially I'm saying, it's okay, carry on doing what you will. Okay, and to me, that's no longer an acceptable path. Joe's just gonna add in here. I don't own a drone. I'm not that rich, but I think the more people use them to fly around and spy on people, Oh, I think more people use them to fly around and spy on people. I saw one earlier outside my garage. That's what I think anyway, and I absolutely agree with you. With the advent of drones, people have to look, like all of you have to look at this. I'm encouraging you to anyway, to go, okay, would I like somebody looking in my window with a drone? If the answer is no, then I suggest you don't do it yourself. Karmic law is very cut and dried in this path. Okay, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. This is absolutely necessary. If not, we go down a path that I'll tell you, Rome suffered from it. The end of the monarchies came from it. The Black Death was a bizarre setup. No, the Black Death was not, as far as I'm aware, orchestrated by anybody. It was just something that came about. But I will point out, I like the way Philip puts this. Is it a bird or is it a drone? Now, the fact that that question is there tells you exactly how much, how many UFOs we've got out there. Remember, UFO, unidentified flying object. If you cannot identify it, it is a flying object. Okay. It's unidentified. It's that simple. If it's in the air and it's flying and you can't identify it, it's an unidentified flying object. This doesn't mean, this does not mean it comes from an alien place. It does not mean the government is spying on you. All it means is you saw something in the air that you couldn't identify. Maybe you heard a noise, which would be an unidentified noise. If you can't identify it, it's unidentified. It's that simple. And I will tell you, when people decide to go, no, UFO doesn't work, unidentified flying object, that's not good. We're going to call it an unidentified aerial phenomenon. So, we could go there. Or how about we do this? Instead of referring to the massive majority on Earth, how about if we just call you all bipedal hominids? We won't call you a human. We'll just call you bipedal hominids. Yeah. World goes, we developed skeet shooting way before we made drones for us to knock down. Yeah, no doubt. And rest assured, skeet shooting is a whole lot less expensive. You picture that. Skeet shooting, I don't know what the cost is, but you're looking at a clay disc. Not that expensive to build. And they made those for centuries before drones came out. And at least they had a purpose. Drones have a purpose, don't get me wrong. I also, by the way, do not have one. Not looking to get one. Although I will tell you, when Nathan gets his build, I may seriously consider overstepping that little boundary. Yeah. Philip's just going, unusually flatulent October is a different kind of UFO. Oh, Lord. That's just terrible, Philip. That really is. But hey, if you were listening in, I do encourage you. If you didn't see Nathan's show last night, definitely go back and look at the archives. Absolutely do. Now I noticed something here. Where are we? We go back down here because I missed something I was supposed to do right off the bat. We go here and we go, world, where are you? World. Can't find it for love or money. There we go. This is the link to World Stream. And again, absolutely drop in. Absolutely drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he's talking about, definitely subscribe to give him a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. He's got some really neat videos, really neat topics he covers. What do we got? World goes, one of my team members has a drone. We got Pretty Man. We got Pretty Mountain Valley video with him I showed tonight. Oh, bonus. And that, let me see now. That link, that's, where are we? World. We do so. Oh, yeah, it is Sunday, isn't it? Only now, where the heck are you there, world? I'm looking at this going, 8 p.m. Central. That's why. Right. So, yeah, definitely drop by and take a look at what he's got to say. I'm going to do my best, but my schedule gets completely scrambled. Yeah. So I mean, the whole thing around this, we can take a look at videos and what have you. I cannot tell you whether a video is real. I can't even tell you whether a picture of whether a still photo is real. Oh, nice. Yeah, world's going. Yeah, he's got the video out and 2 trackways of 19-inch Bigfoot tracks. For anybody that wants to say Bigfoot doesn't exist, regardless of whether you believe that Bigfoot is a ancient race or an extra dimensional, I'm not going to worry about that side of it. Okay, I've made my stand very clear on that as far as me personally goes. But we have to at least acknowledge the fact that a foot that size belongs to a very large bipedal individual. Okay, and I mean, as long as what you're looking at is a trackable print, all you look at the quantifiable evidence. In this respect, I absolutely agree with it. Look at the quantifiable evidence. You can try and figure it out later. Okay, but the one thing I do encourage you to accept is, regardless of what you think the origin of Bigfoot or the origin of any abnormal unidentified encounter, the important factor is to accept the fact that they are real. If you've got physical evidence, you are dealing with something real. But let's not forget that lack of proof of existence does not prove non-existence. Okay, now with that in mind, we're seeing a lot of comments in here, world, of people going, I'm going to go check out that video and see what it looks like. And this is great. This is what I'm talking about the way you guys work together and say, hey, let's make things happen. Let's make this a better world. Okay. And working together, we really can. World goal subject being was ascending a very steep embankment. Some tracks sinking in as far as 6 inches. Now, depending on I'd really worry if that was going up the side of the face of bedrock. If it's going up dirt, okay, sinking in 6 inches, you're still dealing with one heck of a heavy animal. Because I'll tell you, grizzly bears don't sink in that far. And those are a big little critter. Okay, I saw somebody had posted a picture of a grizzly bear foot. And I kid you not, the grizzly bear's foot was that wide. Okay, now, when you take a look at it, that is about 15 inches, 16 inches across. Actually, probably closer to 18, come to think of it. I don't actually have a measuring tape on me right now. But if you've got a footprint that runs from heel all the way to toe, okay, you're looking at one massive foot. And at a foot that size, we got to understand that's going to sink into the ground. Now, I'm not here to tell you whether you believe in Bigfoot or not, okay? But something sunk that print. This is just one of the things we look at. And, I'm looking at the whole 9 yards and going, how do we make this world better? How do we find common ground? Yes, I did bring stuff with me to work on. That's just plain normal on a Sunday. And by the way, Emmy, you were talking. I think it was you that was talking about getting a sealant for the plants. Okay, I haven't left the house aside from just to take my son to and from his mom's, so that's going to have to wait until I get there. But I am putting them out of the way to make certain that they do not, that they don't get worn out in the process. Yeah, Phil's going, you can see footage of a grizzly bear harvesting a cow. Well, I could. I just don't see the point. The reality of it is that, from my standpoint, I know things happen in the world. And, an animal killing off another animal, this is part of the circle of life. Okay. We could go really sideways and go, people killing people is part of the cycle of life. But that's a part that we as individuals have control over. This is one of those things that we have to look at and go, is this the world that we really desire to enhance or to really focus on? The one where people are hurting each other, or the one where people are putting up paintings that do not inspire laughter, a warm, fuzzy feeling, relaxation. I look at a video like that one that they put up in Denver. I look at that and go, why would you print that? Why would you paint that? Other than the fact, clearly they made money at it. Now, what am I looking at here? I think we'll do that to start with. So, I've got Pacific blue. I've got navy blue, that's the bottom end. We have sky blue. So I think what we're going to do here is turn around. I don't know what I'm doing with the yellow there. Now I got one or two questions. Yeah, this is a complete sidetrack on you. I realize that. I've got one or two choices. I'm looking at a white circle on one side and a black one on the other, which, in all fairness, that may be nothing more than breaking things up. But I do believe what I'm going to do here. So I think I'm going to, do I want to put yellow on the top or black on the top? I'm thinking if I put yellow on the top, what do we got here? Mac, how you doing? The Mac Geek just rolled in. I do appreciate you guys joining me. And like I said, if you have questions, absolutely put them in the chat room. I will be more than happy to deal with them. Okay, and I will give you as straight an answer as I can. I'm certainly not going to sit here and go, well, it's possible this happened or it's possible that happened. I watched that done really nicely on Men in Black 3. I absolutely saw that, and that was a great setup. They described the way looking at time in a different way can affect things. But, when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at society. Now, it used to be people would make paintings of, even if it was just a simple flower pot, even if that's all it was. Yeah, and I'm thinking here, I think I'll go with the black rim simply because of the fact it'll work better. And there are ways of going around that. So we take this. And yes, I will have to get lacquer before I get around to wrapping it. But the way I look at it, we take a look at the way the world is, and we go, you've got a choice. We can turn around and say, we're going to keep pushing the idea that the world has terrible things going on, or we can look at it and say it's a world that we can make a better setup. But it's up to you which one we focus on, or more to the point, which one you focus on. That didn't work well. I did not exactly need paint on my hand, but what the heck. So I wander over here. You know, the neat part about it, it's however you desire the world to look. What do we got here? Yeah, Philip's going, I didn't understand the mural either, but it makes sense after seeing the father and daughter explain the meaning. Okay. Yeah, Philip's just letting us know that mural, is a commentary against war for a future generation in peace. Now, I'm going to just call that back up just so I can get a look at it. But, from that standpoint, I definitely agree. We've got to bring it into war. It's just that simple. Where did it go? Right there. It literally boils down to this. We can propagate the concept of war. We can absolutely turn around and make that a going concern. But to what end? Is that the world you desire to see happen? Is a world at war and the side effects thereof? Is that the world you desire to have occur? I know from my standpoint, it certainly is not what I'm aiming for, which is why I decided to get off my tail feathers and do something about it. Like when I do go out of the house, I make absolutely certain that I do my best to get people to feel better by the time I leave. I know I make some people happy when I show up. Most of them I make happy when I take off. Okay. Primarily because I have a tendency of putting my foot right in my mouth and just saying what comes onto my mind. Which, by the way, apparently is not necessarily an acceptable road. What do we got? Yeah, you noticed that too, eh, Mac? Yo, that really is how that works out. Yeah, football says she was on the radio with you. On Space Out Radio. Oh, okay. Well, like I said, the reality of it from my standpoint is, and this is why I said, the fact I know somebody does not necessarily mean that I agree with everything they say, nor with the way they see things. Dave and I have our disagreements as well. The trick to a better world is not to have everybody see things exactly the way you do. The trick to a better world is having people respect everybody's opinion, and not go, oh, you're a complete lunatic. The message, if we're looking at a message that says war has got to stop, if you don't, here's the outcome, definitely a good message. That doesn't mean that I have to necessarily like the artwork. Heck, I put a picture up. I know I showed it to you the other day. Okay, my own son painted something, and thank you for clarifying that, football. I do appreciate it. So there's no question. I like Jenny as an individual. Do I like the art, the chosen way of doing the artwork? Well, frankly, from my end, there are some parts about it that I do agree with, and there's one certain thing about it. There is no way I can paint that well. No way at all. You can tell how poorly I paint. Okay, but the fact of the matter is, when we take a look at this world, it's going to take people from all walks, from all interpretations, to turn this world around to a better thing. But it's up to you guys whether you're going to pick up the tools or not. Now, I don't have the only tools. I really don't. But I will tell you, I'm not about to sit around anymore. I've done it. I sat on my tail feathers for literally 5 decades, going, well, hopefully people will wake up. Talk about a bad hope. When you think about it, so many people don't have a clue where to start. So we start at the very beginning. And as the song goes, it's a very good place to start. By the way, that'll be Sound of Music. And no, I'm not going to hurt your ears by singing it. But I call the beginning not where you came from, but where you are right now. If you've been living your life one way and you suddenly turn around and go another direction, that's the new beginning. Because the moment you take a step, no matter how you got to where you are, the moment you take a step, you're already on a new path. Okay? And it's up to you where you go from there. I will not judge people by their past records. Even if somebody tells me so and so is a problem, I will take that into consideration. Absolutely. Yeah, no. And I agree with you there, Philip. People could tell me, well, I was lucky. The government up here turned around and flat out said, look, Keith, you're epileptic. Therefore, we are not giving you an automatic weapon. Something about automatic weapons and epileptics. I don't know, maybe the kill ratio wasn't high enough. But they told me flat out that there was no way I was getting into the military. Now, in all fairness, I still stand 100% behind the people that choose to step into the ranks of the military to protect your home, to protect your community, to protect the country you live in. And in time, when we have what people are colloquially calling Space Force right now, I absolutely support the idea of stepping up to the plate and becoming a star soldier, if you will. Okay. Again, it boils down to we have to work together. I think the best way I ever heard it put was actually on a movie. And the message was this. The message is this. Those of you that have the power, protect those of you that don't. This is the reality of it. If we don't protect the weaker people, the people that just don't have the ability to change things, okay, if we do not offer them the support, how can we possibly expect them to contribute to society in a positive fashion? It's just one of those questions that I look at going, there's something being missed here. Don't know how to put it. All I know is that's the way I see it. And this is a world that does have a real good shot at a staggeringly good future. Okay, the question is what we're going to do about making that a reality. This picture, if you take a look at it, it's got fire in it. And absolutely, if we do not watch what we're doing with each other, if we do not actually support each other, the world is going to be engulfed in fire. Whether that means it'll be actual flames or whether it will be metaphorical, like, for instance, the flames of hatred, the flames of fear. Either one, we don't need that kind of negative issue. Now, fire is necessary for clearing out some of the junk. And Lord knows I've got a lot of stuff that I should probably just burn and get rid of. But I'll find a different way to dispose of it. One of the neat little things I'm looking at here, right here, while I'm going, I've said, I am making Christmas gifts. And no, I know this is July. I don't play Christmas music unless you want to call Under Siege a Christmas song. I don't want to do that. I did, on the other hand, watch that show. Somebody in here suggested I turn around and watch Interstellar. And, like I told you I would, I went and I actually found the movie on Netflix and watched it. Interesting take. You know, absolutely an interesting take. And it's one that that you've got to look at and go, okay, is that the road that that we desire to put things into a back burner to make happen? You know, because the reality of it is this: the world is in a state that it requires assistance. And I hate to tell you this, guys, but if the government and the so-called elites, you know, I agree with you there, football. That one, I mean, it is a Christmas movie, and I have watched it during the day. But the reality is, there are shows that take place with Christmas as a background, as a backdrop, that are certainly not fuzzy feeling. You know, I still like the old black and white Christmas movies, but when it comes to Interstellar, I looked at the way they wrote it. You know, the way they filled it out, and absolutely, it's got some really neat work on it. Okay, but as I said, I would go take a look at it. It's kind of like I did, by the way, finally got a chance to watch. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I finally got the opportunity to watch Dungeons and Dragons. Really well done in certain aspects. New take on things, absolutely. And of course, now, just to go sideways on you completely, like I never do that. You know, the character I'm running in my D&D game that I play on Sunday, like that I played today, my character is now, he is a druid. Well, in all fairness, he's a druid and a bard. And has now, just because of the way the game went, he's just become psionic. And yes, in all fairness, it was really neat because our game took on an interesting switch where the game master says, okay, I watched the movie Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm letting owlbears be a definitive part, a definitive race, a species that a druid can turn into. Needless to say, I was all over that. So, my character now, what do we got here? Ultimately, yes. I mean, you would have loved it, world. We ended up in an old an underground catacomb, right? JCL, Guten Tag, how are you? Glad you could join us. The neat part about it, here's a neat little piece of information for you there, JCL. Jeremiah Wollstrand, when I first built him, one of his primary languages actually was not German. That was something that he actually had to pick up after the fact. It was a bit of an oversight to start with. But, yeah, when we talk about my character being a bar druid, we ended up in an old abandoned building, an old abandoned underground complex that happened. Well, it was occupied by vampires, but they had a complete bar set up. So what did my character do? That's it. I'm taking all the alcohol, or more to the point, in this case, he took all the bottles of blood. Bear in mind, he's half orc, half drow, so having blood wine was really handy. But the first thing I said when I opened the door and found the bottles, it's like, that's going with us. A little bit of a twisted setup, but hey, what the heck? But no, when I was watching the movie D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, when I was watching that, they had a real neat take on the owlbear, which I thought was really kind of comical. They made him look cute, which was wonderful. Kind of like the panda bear. Real cute animal until it gets mad. At which point, cute may not be the best word for it. And yeah, in case you couldn't tell, I'm just finishing off fine-tuning here. I'll put this down in a minute. But yeah, absolutely, guys. If you've got a topic, or if you've got a question, come right out and ask. As a matter of fact, I gotta clear that off in about 10 seconds. Because I'm also looking into making certain that I have appropriate topics to deal with down the road here. The idea is very simple. The reason I asked you guys about what topics you'd like to look at is simply because of the fact that you're the guys that are interested. And for pity's sakes, understand, and I hope all of you realize this. Okay, when I say guys, I mean men, women, children. Doesn't matter who you crawl into bed with, what color your skin is. Doesn't matter who you vote for. I just go guys because, frankly, it's a short word. It's minimal syllables. And I don't have to think too terribly clear. And I will tell you, for me, not having to think, this is a good thing. I don't know if you consider that a good thing, but like I said, I'm lazy. I really am. I must be lazy. I've only got, 23 books I'm concurrently writing, a newsletter. I've got a poetic anthology I'm starting to put together. And yes, by the way, that being said, I cannot even begin to give you a time frame that I'm going to get the poetic anthology out. By the end of this week, I will have the patterning for it, but I will, there is no question, I will be doing it, and it will depend on how long it takes to get enough poems out. I do have a limit on how many poems are going to be in it. The genre, it's going to be a mixed batch. Okay, the only thing the only type of poem I won't be putting into it will be poems that are, that are adult explicit. What do we got here? I'd have to double check, but I will tell you this, JCL. Google, what's it called? Google.translate. I know a woman that speaks fluent German, and she said she looked at that particular program, and I realized it's only one. No, I'm not about to put that in either. But thank you for clarifying that there, Joe. Absolutely, I will not be putting poems in there about ritual abuse. It isn't going to happen. Or for that matter, ones that propagate abuse in the first place. There is one poem I am putting in there that talks about that literally. What do we got here? Philip's going, certain fields of academia, ESP, history, require Americans to learn German. Oh. Well, that's an interesting concept. I mean, I've got no problem learning languages. I personally understand bits and pieces of German, English, French, Japanese, let's see, German, French, Japanese, Spanish, American Sign Language, and Hausa, which is the Northern Nigerian trade language. I was bored, so I looked into it. At this point, I am seriously considering looking into learning a new language. But here's one of the big issues around languages. You learn a new language, and you are actually, and it's been clinically proven, not by me, but it does make sense. You utilize another second to learn another language, and you're actually enhancing your ability to bypass the problems of Alzheimer's or senility, because you're getting your brain working. Now, of course, the catch there, in my eyes, when I learned American Sign. Okay, now American Sign is really complicated. Okay, it's got multiple different combinations. Canadian Sign seems to have only one sigil. It's got only one hand formation, but it's a very versatile hand formation. And no, I am not going to intentionally put that on air, because I'm pretty certain most people watching this video Hausa is an interesting one. I know how to count in, and I learned a couple of simple words, but it's the inflection thing that throws it off. Like in Hausa, which by the way it's actually spelled like this. Let's just do that right. Hausa. It's a northern Nigerian trade line. Oh, what the heck did I just print that? I didn't. I typed it out and didn't have anything written there, or didn't have it set in the right place. Yeah, thank you so much, Philip. Here I am reciting it and punching it in the keyboard. Unfortunately, I didn't have the keyboard set up. I didn't have the cursor on the keyboard right. But I was bored in socials class, so I taught that one to myself. But a simple way, one of the easiest words, and unlike most people, it seems, when I started teaching myself Hausa, the only word I really strongly remember right now is Danala. Okay, but it's Danala. And that means please. I didn't bother learning how to swear in Hausa. I don't swear much unless I get absolutely ticked off. In case you hadn't noticed, I don't even read out swear words. Okay. So what I'm looking at, okay, we are now at a point where this is absolutely done. My paint is up here, or more to the point, my paint bottle is. I put the water bottle up there for the paintbrushes, so I don't accidentally grab my coffee. Because I don't know about you, well, in this case, it'd be water. Because in case you hadn't noticed, hotter than Hades here right now. Oh, heavens, Joe, I don't get mad at people for asking a question. Oh, that is terrible, Philip. You have an absolutely twisted sense of humor. You realize that. And no, that's not an insult. I mean, let's face it, I've got a very twisted sense of humor anyway. But, no, it is legit. Look it up on your own, by all means. Oh, the Chimera. Now, number one, there are two things about the Chimera. First and foremost, the Chimera is real. It is not a natural evolutionary animal. Not from what I'm aware of. Okay. It was created years ago by true magic. But there is an illness that they call Chimera, which is a genetic hiccup. Okay, it's a very natural thing where people have two different types of genetics in their own system. Cowie, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Spider goat I haven't actually looked into, but I will tell you, the second that we take a look at things, when you're looking at genetics, and we start looking at gene splicing, we have to remember that all of the things that are alive today that evolved that way, evolved over time. Mankind, in its impatience, has been playing havoc with genetics. And in case you hadn't noticed, it's creating some interesting complications, not the least of which was the killer bee. I like the way it was put in one movie where mankind is so interested in what they can do, they seldom think whether they should. And I'm telling you, myself, it's absolutely a simple issue. I've got boundaries, I've got ways that I look at the world. And no amount of talking to me is going to change certain aspects. Okay. I shouldn't say that. I should put it this way. If you can give me a viable reason or viable, shall we say, argument to say why a perception is off kilter. Like, for instance, Joe, you brought up this issue of putting poems in regarding ritual sacrifice or ritual abuse. Okay, I certainly will not be putting them in. Okay, I did write a poem myself that will be there. Nathan goes, what will it take for you to drink strong coffee? Oh, that's easy. Somebody else to pay for it, or the coffee shop that I go to only have strong coffee. if I end up at a Starbucks because that's where the person I'm meeting really likes to go, then certainly I will drink what's available. Okay. Will I go out of my way to make stronger coffee? No. Okay. I don't see the point. I don't like the flavor of it being too strong. Doesn't mean I'm not socially adept enough to go, if you can drink it at all, absolutely work with it. But no, I've got one poem and what it dictates. It tells about a guy that literally comes in and he literally walks into a bar and takes a guy out. But if you read to the end of the poem, you find out why. And Philip's going, can a chimera also be a parasitic? Or is it like a helpful symbiote? Well, number one, definitely depends on somebody's point of view. But a chimera is not a symbiote. It's not a parasite. Okay. A chimera simply is, it's almost like gene splicing. But chimera is not the description that you work with. There are things that are parasitic, that are symbiotic. Okay. They can be beneficial, but it really depends on the individual as to whether or not it's a beneficial thing. Yeah, it's definitely a point of view, whether it's the host or the passenger. This is, in my opinion, from my experience, chimera is not a parasite. I might. Give me half a second. I'm just going to go see if I actually have one. Okay. Well, that didn't work out as well as I would have liked. So again, my apologies. But the thing that delayed me, I don't actually have a figure of a chimera, which means I'm going to have to go get one. But as we can tell, we have a little problem. Ran out of coffee. I had one in the mic. Get out front. And my son turns around and goes, "Oh, Dad, you left your coffee in the mic." I'm like, "Oops." And I step out of the room, and Shade is in the room. How you doing, Shade? Glad you could join us. And I absolutely agree with you, Nathan. Oh Lord, no. No. I don't like iced coffee. You'd think I would. I mean, it's a lot cooler, no question there. But no. No, my son, this one was not made by my son, but got that for Christmas. The only game that I actually play, as far as online goes. But I went to see if I actually had a figure of a chimera, and since I don't, I'm going to have to turn around and go and get one. just not today. Well, today's Sunday. They should be open. I could technically go and get one. But no, this particular, if you take a look at that, that's Wolverine on the one side, right? That's the Marvel character that I really grew up with. This one is Skyrim. Okay. And right now, I'm playing Skyrim. I've got a character. He's just about to hit 20th level. We haven't even started the dragon hunts. Haven't even started them. Yeah. Shay goes, I'm a little tired. Can't text well. Yeah, yeah. World, I do appreciate that. WizKid has a Chimera paint right kit that has a mini and all the paints that you need for it. And that works out well. I like a lot of the figures I get, as you well know, World, are from WizKids. There are figures I'm looking for, and I'm going to have to talk to somebody about actually building a couple for me, because it's either that or they're not going to look right. But what I'm going to need help with, and I absolutely desire to have these, is I've actually got two rigs that I need and that I'm going to require built, because what I'm working on is getting the different figures painted and or acquired that represent the characters in the stories. And they are getting more and more viable. Do I have those in there? No. Eventually I will get things where I desire them to be, but for the moment I kind of got to work with what I got. But again, this is a question of I'm taking my entire hobby. I took my hobby and my enjoyment in writing. I'm turning it into a solid business. Okay, and yes, I mentioned I was talking to the government to try and get a little bit of backup on that. If things go well, and I should start making headway, if they go well, I could end up getting all the support I need to actually get the publishing company up and running absolutely properly. Philip goes, I played the Game of Thrones online. My game wife was a community college teacher from Finland. She proposed. I said yes. Yeah, and that's the whole thing. I haven't played Game of Thrones, but I will tell you the reason I didn't. Okay, most of the games that are out there I cannot track. My eyes just don't follow the number of things going on. Not the least of which is a lot of these games, especially the online ones, are done third person, and I can't translate it fast enough. Making gaming is a little bit of a problem. Yeah, World goes, I do kit bashing for my own unique monsters. That I will absolutely talk to you about that, World. What I'm looking at is vehicular. Okay, I've got some critters that are coming up in the story that I certainly do require. And here's the nice little part about it. I know this wasn't something you asked. If this is just the way I operate. I'm a firm believer that when I'm doing something, if it's just for my own stuff, that's fine. I pay for it anyway. But what I look at is this. If I get somebody doing something that ends up going into a book, okay, that artwork, and this is what I'm working on quite literally this week, putting things together to find out how much I've actually moved, to pay the artists appropriately. See, my problem with artists is with the way the industry teaches and treats artists, is they turn around and they go, okay, I'm going to pay you for your artwork. You're going to sign off on it, giving me the right to say to resell the thing. Okay. Then I go around and I can go out and your payment is done. You've done the art. I've paid you. Or the person commissioning the work has paid you what you agreed upon. So reasonably speaking, it's a decent deal. Except at that point, you're done. And in every other industry I know of, okay, in every other industry I know of, when that is done, that's the last the artist ever sees of it. Meanwhile, the person that commissioned it goes off and reprints it and resells it. Where are we here? Yeah, Shade goes, only game I play on is Red Dead Redemption. You know, I've absolutely heard of it. My son plays it. I can't follow it. Okay, again, they do most of it in third person, and that's where I run into the problem. You know, now I will tell you this, Philip. In game, nobody's proposed to me. In real life, I was asked by my other half whether or not we could make a potential go at things. And yeah, in this case, I absolutely said yes. That was 3 years ago. Okay, and I still have every intention on closing that door. Closing as in putting a ring on her finger and saying we're done. You know, we're now married and that's the way it stays. Hopefully until I drop dead, which is about 70, 80 years down the road, I hope. Now, I realize I'm 60 now, so 70 years down the road would make me 130. Okay, and to me, that's good because I'm looking at hitting 140 or so. You know, so when I talk about my other half, she's actually the one that broached the subject about making things work, not about proposing to me. But I did tell her I get her across the border, I will ask her to marry me. Mind you, she turned around and says, please don't ask me the day I arrived there. Yeah, Philip goes, 60 is the new 57. I got told by an 86-year-old the other day that I should just drop dead now because the doctors, all they'll do now is look at you and go, you need this pill. I look at the doctors and go, no, I desire my coffee, and that's the way that goes. I do take hawthorn berry to keep my heart running properly. Oh, I know, I agree, the scenery is great. The unfortunate part there, Philip, is I can't track what's going on it because they've got it in third person. Skyrim, I play 90% of it in first person. Okay, because I can see it. Angels, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, let us see something here. Pop this in, and I think that I saw... I'm pretty certain, and unfortunately I don't recall, but I'm pretty certain Shadow popped in here for a bit. And this is the link to Shadow's live stream. So absolutely, as I've said, drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he says, do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. And definitely give him a thumbs up. But Nikki, where are you? Here's Nikki's live feed. Okay, same applies here. Then the reason I pop these up is because you guys, people with live feed come in and they're supporting, you guys are supporting me by showing up in here. Okay, so the least I can do is nothing. Oh, what did I do? I think I just did something a little wrong. Okay. Let's try that again, shall we? Go copy. You guys come in. That Shadow's link there. I really should learn to hit enter. But, you guys come in and support me by showing up here. Okay. The functionally least I can do is return the favor and point people to your streams. The fact of the matter is, in my opinion, this is a way of sharing the effort, of sharing our time to really turn this world back to where it should be. Back to if you will, the Garden of Eden, where people actually get along. Okay. Now, I don't look at people and go, oh, you're a different color, therefore I don't like you. Okay. I look at people, and the best way I heard it put, I know one chap, he got hauled into court for assaulting a police officer. And his comment was real simple. to the judge. He says, look, I didn't assault a police officer. He goes, I assaulted, and you get to figure out what word goes before whole, that happened to wear a police officer's uniform. Now, I will tell you, the police have a difficult job. Okay. And I do myself. Well, that sounds bad. But I do turn around when I'm walking down the street. If I see a police officer standing on the side of the road or sitting and just having a quick coffee, I will absolutely stop and thank them for their help. Same as I will thank the ambulance drivers, people that are working in the garden. The nice part about it for me, these are all people that are helping make this world a better place. Why not say thank you? The neat part about it from my end is that if we actually turn around and start treating each other better, this neat little war that people are talking about, let's make a new world order. I absolutely agree. Let's make a new world order. Here's the new world order, though. Somebody was just mentioning it the other day on Facebook. They went, they were talking about fashion. They said, every 20 or 30 years, fashion comes back in, certain types of clothing come back into fashion. And he goes on to say, he says, I look forward to the day when honesty, integrity, and respect come back into fashion. This would be absolutely fantastic. What do we got here? Philip's going, oh, thank you so much, Shade. Shade's just told us he's gone and subbed a number of the links that we just put in. Thank you so much. Philip goes, if you spell Eden backwards and drop one of the E's, it's the Garden of Ned. Well, what do we got? That's always a little interesting. Yeah, absolutely, world, and I will oh, there we go. I will do my best to pop in at least for a bit. I don't know how my schedule looks. By the time I get out of here, I'm usually backed up behind way behind the 8 ball. But I absolutely encourage all of you guys to drop in. I mean, what I will likely do is drop in, say hi, and then get carried away with a bunch of other things. I've got a newsletter I've got to get finished writing that's got to go out in less than a week. Now, I've got most of the articles written, but it's simply a question. Thank you so much, Shade. I appreciate it. I will do my best. I will definitely do my best to remember it. Fact of the matter is there, John, the reason I don't remember it is because it's not written down in front of me. I mean, frankly, it boils down to a bit of a memory hiccup. I remember years ago, a guy used to call me Cliff, even after he found out my real name. But it just kind of stuck that way. Years ago when BBSs were you take care of that, world. And thanks so much again for joining us. I used to hang around on a BBS system called The Fringe. And we did all finally meet face to face. But I never did remember any of the people's names. One of the guys, real nice chap, brilliant mind, but his handle on the Fringe was Pinhead. I lost contact with him decades ago. But let's face it, that's the way my world goes. And again, where it comes to the newsletter, I just got a letter this morning asking how often it's coming out. Well, I'm sending it out on the 1st of every month, on the 17th of the month. I will tell you, I've had a couple of people that have asked for it in Australia and in England, hard copy. Okay, those are going to take a while to get there. They are still going over there free. That is quite possible for football. he called me Cliff for, he was always polite, always friendly. And we finally, 3 years after I started there, we finally got name tags. And this guy looks at me and he goes, "Your name's Keith?" I says, "Yeah, it's always been Keith." Right? And he goes, "Okay, Cliff." Yeah. Philip goes, "I've been thinking of fashion stylings of Socrates. He was well known for his unique sense of fashion. He was not, he was not a fan of bathing. And, I don't, what people do with their own life, that's up to them. I will tell you this. I have a problem, myself. I don't like other people's BO, therefore I make certain I keep mine to a minimum. Do I cut down on my on sweating when it's like 100 degrees out? No. Sorry, it's part and parcel. But what I do end up doing, because the acid level in my system is so high, is I'll burn through a half a dozen t-shirts in one summer. And I do mean literally, I burn through them. But, with the newsletter, it's already up a couple of pages. It was 6 pages when it first went out. The new one is going to be at least 8 and maybe more. I don't know yet. But I've got to get it finished as well. Actually, it was funny. I was in a grocery store a couple of months back, and a guy was complaining about the fact I was in a golf shirt and t-shirt, in a golf shirt and jeans. And I looked at him and I says, it's not like I'm a fashion statement. The girl right behind me, bless her heart, turns around and goes, "You are so, not a good one, but you are a statement." And, for me, it really boils down to this. I don't color coordinate much, primarily because I still have trouble separating them. But where it comes to what I'm looking at, it's encouraging people to literally look at each other and support each other as long as they're doing things that are decent. As was pointed out, the poems that I put in, that I'm going to be including, and I am going to wait for ones coming from people, and I guess I should point that out. Okay. If you desire your poem to be included in the anthology I'm working on, okay, I'm not going to tell you whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Okay, I'm really not. Okay, I will tell you whether I will print it or not. But that will be based on the content of it. And like I said, and like we amended with Joe there. Okay, if you desire to have your poem printed and you get a hard copy, and not a hard cover, but a full copy of it, okay, in your hand, all you got to do is send $20 Canadian, the poem itself, and a letter stating it is your own work. Okay, I will not be posting and be printing anything that is adult specific. This is going to be available to anybody that wants it. And that means I'm not going to be printing things that have a whole pile of modernly accepted vulgarity, things that promote abuse or bullying, or adult oriented, as in, oh, here's a poem of what happened in the bedroom. Not interested, unless what happened in the bedroom is something like this. If you're writing a poem about doing something like this in the bedroom, then okay, the bedroom is a who cares. Okay, but I am very well. What are we? There will be. I've actually got a few of them. So yeah, there will be, and absolutely, if somebody has poems about space aliens. Oh, the other neat little part about it, if I'm writing them, I do have pictures here that will be going into them. Couple of things I'm planning on where to go. The poetic anthology is one. I am looking at putting a coloring book together with the races of the world, or more to the point, based on the races of the world. Whether it'll be with the same artist or not, that remains to be seen. Okay, but I found one that I will be talking to later this week. Okay, that is going to be, that may just have the style I'm looking for. But again, when I said I was building an empire, I was building a publishing company. This isn't something for down the road. This is something that will enable the many of you that have a poem, have a short story that you would like in print, but you don't know how to go about it. Okay, this is what I'm targeting. Okay, I am working on a few short stories at the same time. It's like I didn't have enough to do. And by the way, we are making real good headway on filling in the blanks for the Return to Paradise and the editing for the Races of the Worlds. So when I get off here today, let's see, what are we? This is 7-9. See, by the time I get done the next half hour, I'll have 7 or 8 things listed here that I've got to get working on. Absolutely, guys, by the way. Oh, should point that out. Get this stuff out of my way so I can see what I wrote. And we have, I'm over here because I can see what I wrote. This is the 9th right now. So, tomorrow we are going to go into a very intense, a very, very focused, which is a weird concept for me, but a very focused conversation on reincarnation, past lives, how they turn around and actually affect our current life. And is there any point to finding out what they are? Amongst other things, not least of which is your own questions. Before anybody asks it, okay, no, I'm not going to turn around and tell you, yes, I knew you from this lifetime and here's what we were doing. That's not going to happen. Okay, as I did the other day, I will, if I've got one, give you a ballpark of what may be the issue, but I won't be giving any details. Those I will confirm if you come up with them. Okay, it's that simple from my standpoint, because I'm documenting a whole pile of my own past lives. Okay, from my own memories. Not by looking through the library and going, oh, here's a person I was dying that I was in a past life. And by the way, here's the real neat issue here. There is only one reincarnation of, for instance, King Richard the Lionhearted. Okay. Football goes, please tell me all my issues. I could be real facetious here, football, and go, we haven't got that long. But that sort of thing, I have no problem in opening the door for. But here's the catch to that. And just for all of you that are listening, okay, for all of you that are hearing this, yes, I've worked as a psychic consultant, a professional psychic consultant, since 1986. Okay, the last 23 years I was working as an online psychic. And I have just sent out a bunch of letters to people I did have the contacts for to let them know I am going back into that line of it. Back into psychic consulting, business and personal. And with that in mind, here's a real expensive run for you. I don't do anything for free except the time I spend here is for free. The newsletter will be absolutely for free. Okay. And of course, needless to say, if somebody asks me to come on their show, okay, do I charge for it? No. Do I accept money for coming on somebody's show? You bet. Okay. That's just the way it is. Philip goes, if any of the professional fools to King Henry the Eighth reincarnated now, and maybe even aware of it. Oh, I think that was okay already. I honestly don't know that I've run into. No, but I have run into several people that claim to be Yeshua returned. Okay, I've run into several people that have claimed that. I've run into a number of people that have claimed to be Cleopatra. Okay, there's only one person that was ever Cleopatra. Okay. There's only one that will ever reincarnate that way. Okay, there's a lot that will claim it. And the ones that I've isolated, there are people that do stand out for me. No, I'm not giving you names as to who I remember being. I will detail issues around timelines that happen. Like I mentioned. Okay, I mentioned on a show the other day. I remember meeting William Shakespeare. Now I was only about 6 years old at the time. Okay, but I remember meeting him. Needless to say, the fact I remember meeting him says I was not William Shakespeare. But I have met 3 people that claim to be. Of course, I can't rub two nickels together and say anything. But in a nutshell, football, the purpose of near-death experience is quite seriously, it's to let you know that there is more after death. Okay, this whole idea of getting to the end of the rope. Death is not where life ends. Death is where your physical body keels over and quits working. Okay, but the near-death experience, on the whole, is to simply remind you there's more out there once you're gone. Life does not end at this point. That would be weird there, Philip. I'll tell you what, if you ever figure out how to talk to her directly, ask her. Because that's not unheard of. Okay. I mean, some people have lived their lives as a blade of grass. Not every reincarnation was something spectacular. Do I remember being being alive during the Black Death? Absolutely. I had a riot with it. Boy, did I ever meet a lot of money. Did I ever make a lot of money that lifetime? But I tell you, it was annoying because people were just dying all the time to get into my business. Yeah, I mean, John Ritter was one of these really neat, interesting people. What have we got this? Oh, I don't. In all fairness, Derek, I really don't. Right now, I am working. I start off at the bottom end. I can tell you what I used to do. I used to curl 75 without even blinking, but I haven't done a lot of it at all. Okay, but that's all I'm working with. That is simply, what are we here? That is simply 5 pounds. Okay, I am aiming at getting that up by the end of the year. Like I do exercise with it now every day, right? But I decided to start real low and just build it back. I mean, I let my body go to heck in a handbasket. If I go back 2 years, I was 246 pounds, right? And it was just pathetic. Yeah, it is football. It's hotter than Hades out here. Well, not really. But yeah, we're pushing, what are we right now? We were over 100. Right now, we are... Yeah, right now we're still pushing 100 degrees. Here we are at 6 o'clock at night, and it's still over 100 degrees. Now, I don't mind it. Uh-oh. Football says that's hotter than Texas. The funny thing is, here I am, in Canada, and everybody says, oh, it's the Great White North. Certainly it is if you go another 3,000 miles. But we had people show up here a couple of years ago. There was a tour group that came up there, and they had people from Texas all the way to California, all the way west to California on this particular trip. Okay, they were all mad because they all booked it through a travel agency, and this just blew me away. They were mad, and I stopped. I was talking to them. I says, "Why is everybody so wound?" Well, we all were told by the travel agency to bring winter clothing. Now, this was in June. Okay. This was in June. Right in summer. Actually, I think it was in July. But they said, we were told bring winter clothing because it's night. It's in the high 90s here, but as soon as we cross the border into Canada, it's going to drop to 40. And I looked at them and went, "Well, thank heavens it did." And they went, "What do you mean, thank heavens it did?" I said, "Last week it was 43." And they went, "Well, but it's so hot here." I said, "Wait a minute. You think in Fahrenheit?" And the guy goes, "Well, yeah." I says, "We think in Celsius." He goes, "What does that mean?" I said, "Well, first of all, you're 90. Okay, when we drop to 40, we're at about 112. Right off the bat, we're sitting at about 112. Right? I said, this is just normal. Now, from my way of thinking, if I'm going on a trip, check the local weather, find out what it is, and if you're not speaking the same language, find a translation for it. Okay? But they came up here expecting the temperature as soon as they crossed the border to go bang and bottom out. I'm like, no. 40 degrees, this is just like, this is normal. Last year we were lucky. We stayed around 25 to 30, which is in the mid 70s to the upper 80s, depending. Okay, so we were quite happy there. Now, I'm just taking a look here. Philip goes, "Did you join any of the mobs who were roaming around whipping themselves, even after church authorities told them to stop, and that wasn't helping to fight off the plague?" Did I join them? Only in a manner of speaking. I was a coroner. They kept dropping dead. So I kept having to go out and collect them up and take them away. A good friend of mine today was a gravedigger. And that's all he did. He just dug holes to put people in it. We got talking about that today, as a matter of fact. So I mean, from that standpoint, I was a coroner. But I will tell you, when the Black Plague hit, when the Black Death hit up the coast, it was about 150 miles up the coast. We got word it had hit this one community, and all four, and there were four of us at the time, four different coroners. So times were really lean, right? And we all of a sudden, all of us went, we're starting to build coffins now because we're not going to be able to keep ahead of it. As it turned out, we couldn't anyway. Okay, so what ended up happening is two of the other coroners went out of business when they died. A buddy of mine, Fenyon, and myself, we were at odds with each other because we were absolute competitors. But when everybody started to die, we met in the bar one day. We met in the tavern, and we're sitting there, and both of us are exhausted. I looked at him, and I'm like, "So, how's your day going?" Because we didn't know each other personally. It was just from a business standpoint. And he said, it's horrendous. I just cannot keep up with it. He says, people are dying so fast, we just can't get them buried. I said, you think you got it bad? I said, I keep having to replace my staff. They keep quitting work with such short notice. They drop dead on me. They don't even warn me they're going to drop dead. Now, as it turned out, I happen to have been immune to the Black Death. Okay, so was Fenyon. So we ended up having a real good friendship that has lasted to this day. Now, granted, Fenyon is deceased at this point. Okay, he's non-corporeal, but I still hear from him regularly. When I take a look at that, and a buddy of mine now used to be a grave digger, but he didn't work for anybody in particular. He was freelance as far as I gather. Right. And all he did was dig holes to bury people in. And that was it. Now. Yeah, I appreciate that, Derek. Yeah, and I'm down at this point. Like, I do intend on putting on proper muscle in my eyes. Am I going to go into becoming a bodybuilder? No, not a prayer. Okay, I'll leave bodybuilding to people like World. World and Nathan. They both take little figurines and they build bodies. I'm not even going that way. I'll build them on paper. My own body, I certainly desire to get back into decent shape, because the reality of it, from my standpoint, is last year, I tried carrying 40 pounds, 200 paces, and wiped myself out. With just 2 turkeys carried from my car into my house. Completely wiped myself out for a couple hours. And that's where I looked at and went, no, this has to change. So, and I do encourage you guys, regardless of what you're doing. Okay, now I am no health aficionado by any functional stretch. Okay, but I will tell you, slow and steady does win the race. When we take a look at the weights I'm looking at, I will be upgrading them. As a matter of fact, today, after I get off the stream, I have to increase them. Okay, what do we got here? Now, Phil's just going, how do we meet friends from past lives? That's going to come with conversations about past lives. Okay, the meeting friends, I got news for you. My method of meeting friends is not one to be recommended. I stay at home, and if I meet people, like, for instance, I'm meeting one of you, one of you is coming down here in a couple of weeks, and I'll meet them face to face. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to them the other day, and we will be meeting, and I'm not on the, what day is it here? There we are. Saturday the 22nd. In other words, not this weekend, but next weekend. I won't be on air because I've shut the stream down for tomorrow, for the 22nd, so I can spend the time with this gentleman that's coming in from out of town, and we're going to get together for coffee. Football saying you will do well in El Paso Heat. Yeah, for me, I'm quite comfortable to about 30. Starting getting up to 40, it starts to get a little warm. But this is why I drink a lot of water as well. But I will be going down there unless, and this is something that just came up, if the government steps up and says, yeah, we're going to help you put your business together. If they step up and say, we can do it, okay, we'll do it, that may postpone things. I'm hoping not, but we'll have to see what happens. So, from my standpoint, yeah. Sad to say, I mean, that's a terrible pun there, and terrible pun there, Philip. But yes, he was a holy man. That's all he done. Actually, it was funny. He was telling me, we were talking about it today, and this kid turns around and he says, "Oh, by the way," he goes, I was digging a grave, trying to get ready." He said, I hit a hole and ended up in a 10-foot hole. He said, I hit an air pocket. He says, and all of a sudden I had a problem. So he said, that's why I decided I was going to put multiple bodies into the same hole. He said, I didn't have enough dirt to fill the hole back up. So I had to put the bodies in on top of it. Just stack them. That was just the reality of it. Now, fella, I do understand I don't watch any of the sports. So this reference you're using here, Philip, about Dr. Frankenstein, I understand he's a bodybuilder, but I have no idea. I have no idea who he is or what he looks like. I do know Lou Ferrigno, the guy that played the original Hulk in the live version of the Hulk. Okay, he himself was a bodybuilder, and boy, could he run. Okay, now I'm trying to think if the movie Deliverance, if that was on, and correct me if I'm wrong on this one, Derek, But was the movie of Deliverance not on the slave trading in that time in life? Or is this a different movie, Deliverance? Because I'm running into a bit of a hiccup on that one. Oh, thank you there, and thank you for that, football. Now, I will tell you, that kind of a movie, I've got my own opinion on what should happen to the perpetrators of that. There are a lot, and let's face it, the reality is, yeah. See, I've got my own view on that, and it's really, shall we say, a bit on the dark side. But I will tell you this: there are a lot of people that claim that that's happened, and that's worse in some ways, in a lot of ways, really, than the people that actually perpetrate it. But violence, I like, I do not condone violence except in I think 3 or 4 different ways. Violence is acceptable, in my opinion, okay, in storyline, like in movies. And I'm talking about movies that are not based on reality. Oh, okay. I will get to that in 10 seconds there, Philip. I'm not talking about violence that recreates reality. I'm talking about movies that are simply, they're volatile. In movies, in writing, in fantasy writing. Okay, I absolutely agree with them. Stories that are done historically accurately, I certainly agree with. I don't collect them by any means, but violence itself is acceptable, in my opinion, in movies, in stories, and in mutually agreed upon sports events. Such as, if you both want to get into the boxing ring or you both want to get into MMA, be my guest. Okay. I also believe violence is necessary in the case of self-defense. So I mean, from that standpoint, that's where my standpoint on Deliverance was. There's a whole lot of things that and maybe I'm a bit of an archaic individual, but my opinion, you don't put them in jail, and that is just my opinion. Okay, that kind of situation, yeah, especially if it's a repeat offender. Why, first of all, put people through that? Never mind the actual act. Okay, I was fortunate with that issue around Deliverance. I had a woman phone me up right after it happened. She had that assault take place. Went to the doctor, got away from the doctor, and then turned around. Okay, then turned around and phoned me. Of all people to phone, she phoned me after she'd gone through that kind of issue. Okay, that's just the way it was. And I'm thinking, like, thank you so much for phoning me. Did I, you never ask somebody. I've heard some horror stories about that, but the movie Deliverance, I certainly wouldn't go back and watch again. It unfortunately brings back a lot of real nasty little memories, not the least of which was way back when I was a Roman soldier. I was told to stand guard while my entire cadre that I played with, I drank with, we fought back to back with for 2 years. And I was told by my commanding officer to stand guard and let the men have at this one innocent woman. Okay. And they were going to have their way with her. And I was told, you're giving this as a direct order. You stand guard, make sure nobody disturbs us. Well, I did solve the problem. I stood guard, and as soon as they started to back her into a corner, I come back through the door, and my 6 closest friends that lifetime ended up dead at my own hand. Okay, very quick, very brutal. I then caught the young lass by the hand and hauled her out of the city. Deserted the military at that point, and spent the next 10 years on the run with her, anybody in a uniform, in a Roman uniform, I'd go walking by them and I'd just drop them. I wouldn't even ask if they were involved in anything. They were wearing a uniform, therefore they were done. You know, so I mean, from my standpoint, that is just where I stand on. I am, in this lifetime, I am a pacifist. I do not fight. Okay. It's just not something I don't agree with it. There's a lot I could say about it, but that could get me in trouble. I love what you did here, Derek. Derek goes, Christine, you're no longer a member of the exclusive top 10 of Dave Scott. Right. And of course, poor Christine walked into it. Oh no, what happened? I didn't know I was. I didn't know I was to begin with. And down the road a little, Derek comes back with, you're in the top 7. Well, sadly, that still puts you in fortunately, that still puts you in the top 10. But I do like the way you did that. Christine, the way I look at it is this. If you're in the top 10 list and you're not wanted by the legitimate police, okay, or by a hitman for that matter, then being in the top ranking is a good thing, in my opinion. Okay. That's just the way that is for me. Some of the movies that come out, I just won't watch. Now, I find it really, really fascinating with some of the violent shows that are there, that are out there. I do find some of the remarks that they do, kind of on the comical side. And some of that, as far as the way I write goes, is yes, some of the characters have, shall we say, an interesting take on life. One of the main characters, chap by the name of Blade. Now, bear in mind, the guy that built him and he was a real character built by another gamer, right? Blade was a 6'6" black man. Only I based the character on him and then made a couple of tweaks to liven things up a little, which really didn't take a lot of work. But Blade has one comment that stands out. It's a good day for them to die. Blade is not suicidal, but he is, to say the least, as is told in the story. It's not a question of is he going to get into a fight. It's a question of when. Yeah. I do wish Blade 3 was an excellent movie. I do agree with you there, Football. Blade 2 actually wasn't too terribly poorly done. I just finished watching Blade 2. And I do like the way that Blade connected in a sense with one of the vampires at the end of it. What do we got here? Oh, yeah, Derek goes, the air conditioning wasn't working in the movie theater. Sound of Freedom was playing. Yeah, I didn't actually end up at that one, but no, Blade 3 was good, but Blade 2 came out obviously before it. Right. Football, Expendables 4 is absolutely worth watching. Yeah, we're talking Blade the Vampire, Football. Or more to the point, he's a daywalker. But yeah, I've already watched the Expendables 4. I do like the way they do it. And yes, it's a violent movie, like I said, I'm a pacifist. But I'm not honestly certain if I did. Philip, is Lost Girl is it on Netflix, do you know? Probably not. But I honestly don't know if I've seen it. You know, from my standpoint, I don't care about that side of it. And I got in trouble with this the other day, so I'll say it anyway. I know there's all kinds of people that don't, and they relate to something else. Okay. I don't care. Okay. People can be who they are. I don't care if you relate to being a bucket of milk. Okay. I look at people the way I look at them. I treat everybody exactly the same way I desire to be treated. Okay. That's the bottom line from my end. What people want to claim they relate to or what they want to claim they are, that's your guys' call. As long as you treat people as you desire to be treated, and quite frankly, in a fashion I can work with. You know, I know some people, it was nice. I was asked the other day by somebody, they said, you know, do you have a problem with swearing? I'm like, no, I really could care less. I don't personally swear, but I don't care. You know, my dad, on the other hand, had a bit of an issue with it. When he was growing up, he had a real bad habit. Right. My dad would beat the stuffing out of his CO or any other person that happened to swear in front of a woman. Right. He was very definitive about that. Funny part about it was it didn't even have to be his girlfriend or his wife. It could be anybody swearing in front of a woman. Right. Dad was a little bit, you know, Dad was a little testy where it came to linguistics. I absolutely agree with you there, Philip. Again, treat people as you desire them to be and to treat you. You know, I don't care. I know people that are, number one, vampires are a real thing. Never mind the Saginan. Okay. I'm referring to humans that have to drink blood. Okay. And it's not a, well, they at least, more to the point, they have to have a certain type of iron because they don't produce it. These are real people. Okay. Now, this does not give them the right to go out and kill people. Not part of the deal. You know. Yeah, Howard the Duck. I did enjoy Howard the Duck. It was twisted, but I did enjoy it. You know, and again, this really boils down to an issue of whether or not people treat each other properly. You know, you know, and some of the stuff that people are asking, there's no way I'll deal with it on air because frankly, I will get, you know, they'll shut my show down, and I'm not interested in doing that. You know, but from my standpoint, it's real simple. I will take a look. Now, I will see what I can do about finding this lost girl. I wonder if it says that here. Where are we? If I go to there, let's take a look and see what happens if I just type in lost girl. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's lost girls. Okay, I'm gonna have to ask there. Philip, you wrote it in as lost girl, as in singular. Are you referring to lost girls as in plural? How we doing there, John? Glad you could join us. Honestly, Derek, I really do. Not plural, okay. Let me just see if that pops up. Oh, there we go. 5 seasons. Where is it available? Yeah, it's a TV series. I don't know where it is, but I'll see if I can find and track it down somewhere. I haven't actually watched it. Now, yes, I do remember the story of the show Fat Man and Little Boy. Okay, I did watch it years ago. And, again, it was historically, they were talking about an historical issue that, I mean, the side effects were horrendous. I actually had a friend I had a neighbor that I talked to for years that was on Normandy Beach. And the movies that show on Normandy Beach, the movies that show people running back to help their friends and drag them out of the rain of fire, he said was absolutely wrong. Okay, it was absolutely wrong. He goes, when we hit the beach, he said everybody ran for cover. And after the fighting was over, then we went back and prayed we could find some of our friends alive. Some they did get back, but most died on the beach. And like he said, he couldn't watch the war movies that were saying how many people went back to help friends. He says it didn't happen. It's very much like like Big Boy, like Big Boy and Fat Man and Big Boy. The horror that brought about. Again, this is war, and I will never stand by and say it's a good thing. Just not about to. Now, when we take a look at the Poltergeist movies, watched all three of them and loved the way they did it. And I can honestly tell you, aside from the fact that they took it a little bit far, well, in a manner of speaking, when they pulled the kid through the TV into the other side. I will tell you this, that's doable. But they call it a psychomantium, and it requires a certain amount of setup. What do we got? Football's going, they shoot ghost TV shows in Canada. Quite often. We've got a lot of ghost towns here, a lot of towns that have just been abandoned and left alone. Now, in all fairness, Dave or Chad or any number of people would be able to tell you more about the ghost towns around here than I ever could. Heck, I have enough trouble finding a local neighborhood restaurant. So, finding a ghost town, I'm not about to do. No, Howard the Duck was a rock star from another world. Okay, they got sucked into the modern world and got stranded here. But he was a riot. Derek's going, I just started the movie The Brothers Grimm. Those two, I mean, the stories that the Brothers Grimm told was bizarre. Some of these movies I love. I like these ones. I don't know if I ever actually saw The Ring, to be honest with you. Dog goes, what does a pina colada taste like? In a nutshell, pineapple with a kick. Oh, you cannot complain about that too much, hey, Nathan. Raw organic honey is absolutely the best. Like, I buy it whenever it comes into town here. I always buy a couple of bottles of it. I don't eat a lot of the stuff, but if you're getting honey, absolutely the raw organic stuff is your best. Well, if you don't like pineapple, dog, I really wouldn't recommend a pina colada at all. I personally like pina coladas. Of course, in all fairness, I used to like a lot of different alcohols. Well, I have no idea. Of course, I take a look at a comment like that and figure there's hopefully only a couple of people that kiss Jimmy Buffett. I love the comment when I was talking to somebody one day, and they literally come out and they went, kissing a smoker is like kissing a dirty ashtray. And I'm like, what kind of a genius was it they went and kissed a dirty ashtray to find out? You know, and yeah, I forget the ingredients to a pina colada. But yeah, as I recall, they did have a little bit of coconut rum in it as well. I think that's what the alcohol is. That's terrible, Nathan. Yeah, Nathan just gone blew out a flip flop, stepped on a pop top. I look at that and go, well, think of the bright side. At least you didn't step on a die 4. And I'll tell you, if you're a gamer, you know exactly how painful that is. Yeah, it's coconut rum. And I will tell you, drinking it straight is not a good idea. Oh, that's what I did wrong. See, I didn't add the strawberry. I kept drinking the Morgan spiced rum. But I kept finding I was getting way too drunk on it. Yeah. Yeah, and D4 counts wrong. People say stepping on attack is bad. They've never stepped on D4. I could go into all sorts of things, but are we really? Wow. Did today ever go by in a hurry? With that in mind, guys, thanks so much for sharing your time with me. I really do appreciate it. If you like the stream, do give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. And tomorrow, I will be back. Tomorrow, I will be here. We will be talking about reincarnation and the effect of past lives on the current day. Okay. Then on the 11th, on Tuesday, we'll be looking at the Zeta Reticulums. On Wednesday, haven't got anything set up for it yet. And of course, Thursday I won't be here. But on Friday, let's see, what did I write there? That is correct. On Friday, we are going to take a look at how to tell whether you're dealing with an actual psychic or with a fraud. Not to say that one psychic is better than the next, because they'll jump with other people. Okay. Oh, somebody mentioned that to me, but and thank you very much for that there, Philip. Where are we here? Yeah, it was Philip. No, Derek. I will look into that. I think my ex actually told me about it. But yeah, on the 22nd, no, the 15th, I haven't got anything set up. Okay. But I am going to fill things in as I go along. And Derek's going back to Spaced Out Radio here in 15 minutes. I've got to grab a quick bite to eat, but thank you so much for sharing your time with me, guys. Really, really do appreciate it. Wish you all the best, and I will catch up with you as soon as possible. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.